Hey everyone, welcome to the AUCA Academics Podcast, which is organized by the Academic Advising Office in the American University of Central Asia. In this podcast, we'll talk about academic life, opportunities, and resources students have. We'll also talk about time management, mental health, reading, writing, and many more interesting topics. I'm your host Salima, and today we're having a special guest, Associate Professor and Acting Chair of the Psychology Department, dear Elena Kosterina. So, hello Elena, we are so glad to have you.
Hello Salima, hello everyone, it's very nice to be here, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for your time. So, can you please firstly a little bit tell about yourself and what is your overall role in the life of the university?
Wow. I am the acting chair of psychology right now. I also am a practicing psychologist, a counseling psychologist. I see clients. I love to work with students. I supervise students, masters and bachelors. I teach. That's about it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. So, as we all know, this season is all about the upcoming midterms. And we know that many students tend to stress about them because midterms actually define the final results of the courses. So today we decided to talk about the student mental health. So basically, based on the opinions and thoughts of students, many of them face emotional burnouts. Especially during the midterms or finals week. So can we first define what is emotional burnout?
First of all, I want to say that I totally understand how midterm stress is a real thing, because being mental health-wise, psychology-wise, being in the middle of any kind of project, it can be really difficult emotion-wise in terms of burnout, in terms of the how you feel about your work, in terms of the amount of stress. This kind of mid part of anything, especially a semester, which is pretty long, a spring semester is pretty long, is understandably a difficult time, and psychologists usually recommend that at least reminding yourself about that it's normal to be stressed at a different extent, is normal around midterms, and that understanding can in itself be helpful. That you will be through it, you will, the portion of the semester where you will understand that this is the second portion, and you're a little closer, after the midterms you'll be a little closer to the end. That will happen definitely, and that will feel a little easier for you in a week or two.
Yeah, awesome. I think it's very crucial to remember for students that everything's going to be fine at the end and it's going to get easier, even though it feels like everything is so difficult. Mm-hmm. So, and the next question is, based on my experience, I already also faced an emotional burnouts, and based on the experience of my friends, most of us tend kind of not to recognize the signals of the emotional burnouts, and we kind of think that yes, it's difficult now, but it's not a problem or something. But at the end, when it's getting worse and worse, and finally there's a final point when it's getting really bad and you feel absolutely broken, that's when we realize that everything was getting worse from the very beginning, but we didn't really recognize it. So how students can actually feel that there is something wrong from the very first stages of those burnouts?
Yes, well, first of all, I didn't answer fully your previous question. Well, yes, a burnout and emotional burnout are also real things, and sometimes psychologists separate those, saying that burnout, this word, means that you are overwhelmed and tired from the amount of work and the studies that you have. Emotional burnout is more related to works that are emotionally demanding, like helping professions, doctors and psychologists and journalists also who work with people. So when you work with people, you are at a higher risk of developing emotional burnout. But both of them can happen among different people, for different students. And that can be a little challenging to recognize the first signs. You're absolutely right. And unfortunately, I cannot help here easily, because those signs can be very subjective and individual. The most common feelings and signs are irritation, for example, not being able to get up in the morning, not because you are tired and want to sleep, but also because you kind of feel that maybe something doesn't make sense. I don't want to, I can't really find any energy to get up and start my day, although that's important, although previously I was able to do that before. So these signs are most common, but to be honest, signs can be very different. Sometimes people start to help themselves by use of different substitutes, like eating a little more, eating more sweets, going out a little more, and trying to do something that when people try to help themselves and kind of make themselves a little happier in the moment. Those things can also be the first signs. If you notice that you are hanging around too much with friends, don't go home, don't do your homework, when you see that you have been overeating lately for no other reasons, these also can be some signs of burnout. But we all should be really very careful because signs can be very individual. Saying that, the key thing is prevention. Also, that's not a very good news for many people, that to help with the burnout, it's very difficult to help yourself in the very moment when you already understand that some of the signs are developing and you already have a tremendous difficulty getting up in the morning. Well, unfortunately or fortunately, the best strategy is prevention. Prevention, I can tell a little more about what strategies exist. If you already are feeling that you are burned out, the best thing you can do is to take a break. I understand that it's a little, it sounds insensitive from me right now because the midterms are here, a lot of work is coming up, yes, but unfortunately if we have not been putting in enough into prevention strategies, the only strategy that we have left is really taking a break. It's not one day, it's not a weekend break, it's at least a week break. Maybe that's why we have the breaks during semesters. Yeah. It's having some kind of longer break and really having it, not working during the break, really letting yourself go out, not stay home, meet some people. That's when you really are in the burnout stage already.
So yeah, in my case, it was when I didn't really want to get up from my bed, even though I was feeling good before that. And yes, it was one of the main signs because I always felt very energetic in the mornings. But since that moment, I started kind of feeling and didn't really understand why it happens. And I think another thing that I faced is that when I kind of give a break for myself, at the same time, I don't feel that I'm resting in my head because I'm worrying too much. And is that a case also?
Yes, it's a case for me too. It's a case for many people. That's very common. There are many reasons for that. For different people, it can be our own anxiety. Again, our own burnout and the amount of work that we have taken, that we have said yes to. Right? And that's why I said that prevention is the most important. Sometimes when we decide to take on a lot of projects in the beginning of the academic year, when we take a lot of challenging courses, challenging electives, when we do a lot of extracurricular work, and so all of that piles up, that usually piles up exactly during winter and spring, because in the beginning of academic year, we happily take on all that work. That's very similar for students and faculty and for everyone. So yes, that is often the case.
And can you tell a bit about those prevention strategies you talked?
Yeah, so I usually say that that's not very good news for someone who is asking me about burnout. The thing is that treatment of burnout is really should be the prevention. Is the prevention of burnout, and to prevent prevention of burnout should be going on basically through your whole lifetime. Of course, sometimes you can understand that some periods of your life, of your year, are really challenging. You have to kind of toughen up a little bit, and you have to work through that period. That happens, but in general, The lifestyle strategies, a healthy lifestyle, diversification of your activities of your week, breaks, taking care of your health, doing sports, traveling, and many other strategies, including also doing arts, socializing, of course, and many other things. They have to be in your life all the time. So we forget about those things. Unfortunately, I really think that our culture is a lot about achievement. Of course, I understand why. Of course, we all understand why. We want to be successful, earn money, and be be approved by everyone and our parents. But the culture of achievement is really hard. It's really hard on people. On young people, on students, when students really feel like they have to do a lot to be able to succeed, and that's the key thing that they have to do. That's not super healthy. That's not very healthy in terms of mental health. There should be really a balance, and the balance should be, well, as I said, in this diversification of different activities that you do. I think that every person, every student should really think about what things in the life I value, except for studies, which are very important, except for my achievement, my academic achievement, which is also, I understand GPA is important for everyone. Of course, I'm a faculty, I understand that. But I also understand that for myself and for many other people, if we forget that there is the whole life around us, and we can have other values, other activities that we like, other activities where we are good at, other activities where we can connect with other people, like our hobbies, something else, sports activities. If we forget about that part, our achievements will soon end, and we will not be able to go on like that for months and years. So, very simply, that's advice from, it sounds simple, but that's advice from a psychologist. Diversify and do your best to balance your week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think also when students kind of try to deal with emotional burnouts or any kind of burnouts, many people kind of like give them a piece of advice, like you should do sports or you should do art, but if they didn't do it before that, kind of it would be difficult for them, right, to adapt those hobbies, new hobbies, or is it easier?
No, when you, of course, when you are burned out, and if you want to do sports to cure your burnout, that's a wrong kind of value. You want to do sports because you want to do sports, and those particular types of sports. The goal is not to become an athlete right away. The goal is to diversify and try new things and be spontaneous. So when I talk about like sports, I talk as a psychologist. I think about it as a psychologist. And as a psychologist, I have in mind personal interest, for example, personal values, making people happy, basically. And making people happy includes trying new things, being spontaneous, challenging yourself sometimes, finding something new, finding new people. All those things make our life fuller, and we meet new people through them. And that is very important. It's not super important what exactly you do and when. The only thing is that, of course, when you're already tired, it's very hard to make yourself start something new because you're already low on your motivation and energy. So that's why I'm saying prevention. Start something in the summer and don't give it up in September. Go on through the whole academic year, try to do it, try to see that kind of a balance. And don't blame yourself when you go and do something for yourself. That is sad, and I'm very serious about that. I see a lot of clients and students who do not do that seriously and who really think openly or deep inside, they think that taking care of themselves and spending time on themselves is a waste of time. This is the saddest thing for a psychologist to think. I'm very serious about that. Giving time for yourself is an investment into your future achievement, even if you value achievement that much. Do that investment, make that investment, and choose activities that you really like. Don't force yourself Try something new, select what you like, but make sure that you do that regularly and don't blame yourself for having fun and not studying at the same time, because this is not possible to do at the same time. When you do something for yourself, think that you have a right to do that.
Mm-hmm. I think the problem that we really have is that we kind of tend to blame ourselves if we are kind of giving us more rest rather than studying or working, and that is one of the key points when we kind of like do not care enough about ourselves. So thank you so much. And another question, so we kind of identified the signals, for example, of the burnouts or any kind of cases. So what are the next steps? Because some students feel lost, so they feel that everything is kind of going wrong, but they don't know how to move. What is the next step? Should they ask for help already, or should they kind of deal with it with their themselves, or what are their steps?
That's a really hard question. Well, asking for help is very important. It's my favorite, because the ability to ask for help is as important to help other people, by the way. So ask for help when you feel you are in need, and help can come from different people. It can be students who are in the same situation, it can be friends and family, and or a psychologist or any kind of other advisor or psychologist or any kind of person who can also talk about mental health and your academic life. Ask for help, definitely, because that's very individual, and unfortunately, being burnt out, people can develop depression. People can develop other conditions, especially depression. I have seen several people, well, adults, kind of older than college students, but the definite cause was burnout, leading to depression or depressive symptoms. So you should be pretty careful with that. Asking for help is normal. It's good. I think it should be approved. It should be understood in the society, and we should talk about that more. That asking for help from different people and specialists is absolutely normal.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's very important. I think that AUCA students should really know that there is always a person who can help. There are a lot of people on campus even who can provide necessary help, and there is nothing wrong in asking for help, and it's one of the best things to do, right? Mm-hmm. And another question, so regarding the upcoming midterms, what is one or several pieces of advice for students, like to prevent maybe any kind of stress or burnouts? Because when I had midterms and when my friends had midterms, they didn't really come yet, but we already feel very anxious. We already feel that very high level of anxiety, and we feel like everything's gonna be bad or something. So what is your advice?
Well, I work with anxiety a lot, so it's hard for me to say something very brief. But in terms of anxiety, important thing is to acknowledge it. Something that I can say and that can work fast is, if you are anxious, I don't know, stand against the mirror and say to yourself that I am anxious, and I know why I'm anxious, I know the midterms are coming up, and or you can talk about that feeling to your friends. Probably your friends have the same feeling. So that acknowledgement and understanding that anxiety around the midterm is normal. There is no way to just shut up my feelings. There is no way to shut up anxiety and make it go right away, especially to do it fast. It's impossible to get rid of anxiety. At least it can't happen quickly. So acknowledging that and just kind of being with your anxiety a little bit, feeling it, breathing through it, understanding that that's how I feel and that's basically normal. Sometimes people are anxious. It's the same thing as any other emotion, and it's as normal as any other emotion. It's not going to hurt me. I can take an exam even feeling anxious. That is something that I can tell you. That is a short-term kind of help. If you feel like your anxiety is really pervasive and it really happens to happen, you feel it very often, and it really prevents you from like living your life fully the way you want to live it, then maybe you can even ask for help. But the short-term solution is to understand that it's also normal. No person is anxiety-free. We're all anxious, and faculty are also anxious, by the way, around midterms, because we want you to succeed. We want you to study well. We want you to also feel good about the midterms. Faculty don't want to scare you. So many people are anxious, and this is normal thing.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was very helpful. I think this is one of the most important topics to talk about, especially when we're studying and working in the very competitive university and competitive environment. Because here, we kind of feel that pressure. And me personally, I always kind of feel like that I'm trying to shut down my anxiety or kind of not accept it. And I think that maybe acknowledging it will help during the upcoming midterms especially. So now let's do some blitz poll. I'll ask you different questions and you need to answer them very quickly.
Okay.
So, coffee at Sierra, Flask, Kitchenette, or Coffee Money?
Kitchenette.
Kitchenette, okay. Your favorite food for lunch on campus?
Half rice and half meat. 15 years for now.
Really? 15? Your favorite spot on campus?
Taking the stairs.
Oh, interesting. Best memories in AUCA are related to?
Students.
Okay. What is your favorite sport?
Yoga.
Okay. AUCA campus early in the morning or late in the evening?
Early in the morning.
Your favorite thing to do to feel inner peace?
Meditation, sometimes walking early in the morning.
AUCA in one word?
Opportunities.
Okay. Thank you so much, Elena, for speaking about such an important topic, and we hope that students will really take care about their well-being. So it was Elena Kosterina, who is an acting chair at the psychology department with a PhD in counseling psychology from the University of Massachusetts. Subscribe to our channel and see you soon.